The area of impact, that area is roughly 4 to 6 blocks. And we also have debris in remote area where something happened with the aircraft, and that's something we'll need to leave the NTSB to talk about. So it's
can we rewind that?
And we also have debris in remote area where something happened with the aircraft, and that's something we'll need to leave the NTSB to talk about. So it's a very widespread area.
What's that?
And we are still trying to understand the entire scope. So as you heard the mayor say, it's possible that if you are somewhere not even near here, somewhere between this location and Northeast Airport, you may go out and find something in your yard, something in your car. Please, as you heard her say, don't touch it, call 911. We need to know that. This is still relatively early in the long-term trajectory of this incident.
So pieces of the plane were falling before the impact?
That will all be information you will hear from the NTSB.
That's very, and like the way he paused and everything, like the way he said it's like, yeah, like there's an area, a specific area where the plane, and he just like paused. And so she's questioning here, is like, yeah, did the plane fall apart with such a wide, I mean, I get the impact was so hard that things are going to blow up and whatever, but did the plane start falling apart midair?
This is still relatively early in the long-term trajectory of this incident. And we also have debris in remote area where something happened with the aircraft, and that's something we'll need to leave the NTSB to talk about.
I'm wondering if something happened to that plane midair. I mean, the way he worded the things was very interesting. And a lot of people have been talking about, like, could there have been an oxygen tank that exploded on this plane? And it says here, as we understand it is very possible that since this is a medical aircraft, oxygen and fuel could have provoked such a powerful explosion. Maybe it could give an explanation for this catastrophe. The way he worded it to me, it's like there's an area of focus where something happened to the plane. He didn't want to say, he paused it, and he's like, you know what? Let's let NTSB say it. And if you remember, there was an oxygen tank that we saw with part of the debris. And this is not, if this is what happened, I don't know if it is or not, but it's not the first time a tank has exploded on a plane. This was posted December 27, 2024. An oxygen tank on an Azerbaijan Airlines flight exploded before the crash, minister says. 38 people were killed on this flight, and there's some conjecture because they're saying, while it's some believe that it was an oxygen tank explosion, others are saying, and some analysts have blamed, likely that Russia fired an air defense missile at the plane by mistake. So this one's kind of up in the air. But I do have another example. So this Qantas Flight 30 on July 2008. So this one had an air tank explosion, and they were flying from London to Melbourne with a stopover in Hong Kong. And the flight was interrupted on the Hong Kong leg by an exploding oxygen tank. And so they were at 29,000 feet at the time, and they had to descend to 10,000 feet.
The Australian airline Qantas has been ordered to check all the oxygen bottles on its fleet of Boeing 747s after investigators said an exploding cylinder might have ripped the hole in an aircraft at 29,000 feet. The Boeing 747, travelling from London to Melbourne, was forced to make an emergency landing in the Philippines. Investigators say they're looking at cylinders located near the hole in the side of the plane.
We're clarifying the role of those cylinders in that location. They are oxygen cylinders. We are currently clarifying, as part of the investigation, the actual role of those cylinders in the safety systems of the aircraft.
Now, who knows? Maybe this had nothing to do with the oxygen tank. Maybe they just stalled. I mean, we watched a great video this morning from a different pilot, but Captain Steve actually just reacted to this. So check out his channel and subscribe. But I'll just play a small portion where he talks about, he thinks the plane stalled. And he even mentioned what the other pilot mentioned. And we talked about this morning about the weight and the center of gravity.
There's a couple of things that take place here, and I'm looking at the angle of the airplane as it hits the ground. That steep angle doesn't happen. The pilots can't create that. This isn't a matter of the pilot pushed over the airplane. It would be very hard to create that steep an angle from that altitude. Most likely this airplane stalled. And now what's a stall? A stall is not like in your car where the engine just stops running. A stall in an airplane is when the wing, the flow of air over the wing is disrupted. It stops flowing properly. And then that wing loses lift. Typically when that happens, and again, there are several critical phases of flight. The most critical is the takeoff phase of flight. Why is that? You're the heaviest you're ever going to be. You've got your power pushed all the way up and you're going slow. You're going to accelerate as you get up to altitude. You're going to reconfigure the airplane by bringing the landing gear up, retracting the flaps and those sort of things. So the airplane becomes even more aerodynamic. So at this point, they're at the most, what we would call in aviation, the most critical phase of flight. And something happens to disrupt the lift over the wings. That's my conjecture on this. At that point, the nose of the airplane, which is kind of up like this, is going to drop steeply. It's going to fall through. One of the wings is going to stop creating lift and the airplane's going to either go on its back or the nose is going to come sharply down. And that's where you get that steep angle now that you see on the screen where they impacted the ground. Now, if you're up at altitude and that happens, you have altitude to lose to recover because the air will start flowing back over that wing as the nose drops through. When you're this close to the ground, there's no time to recover. And that's what happened to these folks, I think. Why would the airplane stall? One of two possible big reasons. One is the center of gravity on the airplane was off. Maybe it was way too far in the back and it caused the nose to pitch up, which would create a disruption in the lift over the wing. The air is not flowing smoothly over the wing, or they lost an engine or two and they lost all their thrust. Let's put it that way. They lost enough thrust that the airplane stalled and the nose fell through. So at this point, now we're not going to get anything else from Philadelphia or anybody.
Okay, so yeah, check out his videos, really good. And it made me think when I'm listening to him talk, there was this flight one time where the engine literally falls off the plane, bro. And these pilots had tried their best. They didn't know what was going on to land this plane. This was, I don't know which flight was this. This was in 1992. The engines of El Al Flight 1862, a Boeing 747 cargo aircraft, fell off, causing the plane to nosedive. Okay, this was in Amsterdam. And so they tried their best. And this plane, the engines just came off. I don't know if it was one or two engines, but engine fell right off. And this plane ended up crashing straight into the building. So, because I wonder in the beginning of this video that I played where the guy's like, there was a specific spot in a remote area where something happened to the plane. So I think there's like a huge clue. I don't know if there's a piece of a plane there, or like imagine it's just an engine that's sitting there that came off or something. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Check out the channel. Peace. Bye.